Welcome to the Spotlight Omaha podcast. Here is your host, Jimmy Allen.
is huge. Many of our competitors are out of the state. They're not keeping the money in the community.
Sure.
And we created a tagline a long time ago. If it's right for you, it's right for us. We want to be able to do something that's right for the client first, right for the employee first, before JQ.
Okay.
And that is not only how we run the day-to-day operations as the business, but it's also from our employees. We do the exact same thing. Very important. It's right for them first.
Jessica, when you're talking about solutions and being an answer for some people, what are some of the most commonly asked questions you get when you're approaching a new client for the first time?
Typically they want to know why or how that they were picked,
Oh,
and
sure.
the answer is always pretty easy. You're in the community.
Yeah.
Everywhere I go, I like to take the time and get to know their business, get to know who they are as people, and see, like Jason said, if it's actually a good solution for them and if we're actually a good partnership. And when we get through that part of the conversation, that question at the beginning of why us usually ends up being like, thank you for picking us.
Sure. Same question for both of you guys because I expect a different answer. But Jason, you're from Chicago. You're not originally from Omaha. But
Yes, sir.
why is Omaha the right place for JQ to be able to operate?
I've been asked this several times. As little big city as Omaha is, I love it here because of the safety, and we can walk into a business where I grew up. It's well, a lot of times not safe, but also you're not walking in and talking to somebody of value. It's usually some version of people get out, don't talk to me. We're busy. The hometown feel that this company has and this community has is something I will retire in this here because of JQ mixed in with Omaha. It's something that I didn't see happening when I first moved here almost 8 years ago.
Jess, you are from Omaha, correct?
Basically,
Yeah.
yeah, I was raised here, so I've been here, Omaha, my life.
How big of a deal is it for you to basically do business in your hometown?
It means the world to me. Part of my decision to join JQ was that our morals and our values align perfectly with wanting to give back to our own community and keep everything within the town I grew up in, so I don't have to worry about it going to some huge corporation that's going to do who knows what with. I know exactly what's happening with all these funds.
Jason, you guys do. You guys have a ton of different solutions
Yes, sir.
for folks, from printers to smart lockers. Why is it a big deal to be able to diversify and provide multiple options as a solutions company?
When I first got in this industry 24 years ago, that's all we
We
did was
weren't going to age you, man.
yeah,
That was your choice.
copiers and printers are what you did.
Uh-huh.
And then as technology changed, our clients were starting to ask us for more and more. And if you don't diversify, and I'm not reinventing the wheel here, you need different revenue streams not only to support your business. You want a
Mm,
four-legged stool
sure.
rather than a one-legged, and keep that thing level. The other side is as technology changes, we want to be not on the bleeding edge per se, but we want to make sure we do the right things for our clients first. It supports us in the long run. Don't get me wrong, but we want to be able to give them something that they need, all inclusive through our company, rather than having multiple vendors that they don't know who to rely on.
Trying to think of the best. Things always go wrong. Things break, right? Especially with technology. We There's a ghost in this room. These TVs sometimes just fade out of video and start playing something else. I think the Wizard of Oz just started playing the other day. It was very random. Um, it was Halloween time. It was topical,
Perfect.
but whenever you're having a conversation with somebody, and there's always going to be the contact or the discussion of support, and after the equipment gets installed, what does that conversation sound like?
realistically, and I say this all the time, for me and my team, we can solve somebody's problem once and get that into their client. However, how we continue to gain business over years and years and years since 1965 is our technicians. They're the most important people in our company. A lot of sales groups like to think it's them, but the reality is how we continue to earn people's business is because our technicians take care of them. So it doesn't matter what that laptop brand name is or that copier brand name is. The fact is, when it breaks is when you care.
Yep.
Right? So in the grand scheme of things, when I
Most people probably can't tell you the brand until it breaks.
right,
Yep.
yep, and then so then the service technicians are literally not only local,
Mhm.
local
Vendors, yeah.
vendors, but also at the same time, they're all our employees,
Mhm.
and they all live in this community, and they care what people think about the job that they do.
Jess, how big is is that as a deal when you're talking to clients and when you say, hey, when somebody comes out, they're going to be wearing a polo that says JQ Office on it. They're going to be driving a vehicle that says JQ Office on it. You don't have to worry about a sticker being planted on a truck and showing up from a local guy that lives in his mom's basement that knows something about IT.
It definitely makes a difference. Kind of right along with what Jason said, we don't have to worry about where's that person coming from, what have they learned. We know exactly the training they had, the certifications they have, where they're coming from, where they're going, and it gives that client some peace of mind knowing like if anything were to happen, I know exactly who to call. I have my one point of contact, and I trust these people because they're seeing the same technicians, every time because everyone's pretty tenured, so they're able to actually get to know the people, and the techs are able to get to know their business. So that service call becomes a lot smoother because they already know, I know the people, I know the place, and then we don't have to interrupt their workflow at all. We're able to just kind of go in and knock it out. So it helps.
Jason, technology has been outdated for the last 4 seconds since you guys walked into the studio. And you guys obviously have to keep your finger on the pulse of the way that technology is moving and the internet, etc. Talk to me about what are some items that have recently been added to the portfolio that you can provide to your clients, and is there any in the future you guys are excited about?
Sure. So right now, say newer because it's been a couple years. Our smart locker systems have been taking off like crazy. I wasn't even prepared. We did a lot of research for this to make sure it was the right thing, and it makes sense in a multifamily, right? What they're going right now in an apartment complex, Amazon, UPS, FedEx,
Yeah.
you're going to be trying to drop all of that stuff off at a manager's office. Now we have solutions where the UPS person walks up, scans the package, it knows that you live in 101, throws it in the locker, texts you and says, hey, by the way, here's your code, pick it up whenever you need it. And then that same thing actually works in the commercial space as well, where they can be high dollar assets, 3D printers, VR headsets, keys, you name it. You can do the same exact thing as you would from the parcels inside of parts and those types of things for other businesses.
Sorry, we're being told that we're getting some technical difficulties on our microphones here. Hopefully, we didn't miss too much. Can you guys give me a test 1, 2? Sorry, this is the beauty of live podcasting.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Jason, can you give me a test 1, 2?
Test 1, 2, 3.
Jessica?
Test 1, 2.
Okay, we just did this before, but all right. Well, hopefully everybody, Rachel and Alex, if you guys can let us know if you can hear us better now. We were just talking about smart lockers for anyone that wasn't with us. Can you explain what a smart locker is and why?
Sure.
You kind of went through the details. The UPS deliverer could scan it, drop it off to people. And
The lockers themselves are just the tool. The software is really what drives it. On the multifamily parcel side of it, all the major carriers know how to use the lockers to scan the package, know that you live at that facility, put it in a locker, and you can pick it up because you work after hours, right?
Yeah.
You can pick it up at 4 a.m. and get your package.
Thanks for the brand recognition there.
So, so at that point, what it happens to do is you're allowed to get that way at your convenience, but also the porch pirate aspect of it, the security aspect of it. So, a lot of the apartment complexes that don't have them, the UPS person is just dropping them off. The Amazon person is just dropping them off. Sometimes just out in the open.
It's not their job to maintain them after they're
not
gone.
at all.
They got it there.
Yep.
Right.
So the chain of custody becomes a problem. So the tenant.
The chain of
claims-
custody. I don't know if I've heard that term before.
So what happens is they drop it off. Nobody's there. They sign the property management's name.
Right. Oh, okay.
Now you go to pick up your package. And you said, well, you signed for it.
There was a picture of it on my porch at some
Right.
point. Yeah.
And so now all of it is secure, audited, recorded from a video standpoint. So that way you know when and if somebody were to deliver it, picked it up, so on and so forth. But then it works, of course, like I said, on the asset management side as well.
You mentioned earlier that there is this feeling in Omaha that you could walk in and have a conversation with somebody and it feels like a safe environment, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's not always safe though, right? And
Correct.
you guys also help with Wi-Fi cameras too. Is that for a security standpoint? Is that a conference room standpoint? And what's the difference?
It's more along the lines of we have cameras and Wi-Fi as a service. So basically what that does is it's not security like you would have for badging in and out. It's not going to call the police. This is recording for your safety, for whether that's from an HR standpoint or maybe it's from a workman's comp standpoint. But the other side is, especially in certain parts of the community where you want to have indoors and outdoor cameras, we can do all of that, and it gives you recording, remote access, you name it. So it's a little bit, it's more surveillance for the businesses rather than a security thing where like we're not one of the major brands that connect to the police or the fire or ambulance or anything like that.
More of a self-reliable
Exactly.
maintenance. Sure. Jessica, for you, and we're catching up with Jessica and Jason of JQ Office, and thank you for everybody that stuck with us despite the technical difficulties earlier. Everybody's saying they can hear us better, so I apologize about that. Walk me through the conversation of onboarding. When we're talking about bringing a client on with JQ for the first time, what are some of the conversations or some of the questions that people have from a starting standpoint? What are they mostly asking for?
Yeah, obviously, price is always a big topic of conversation. And then, is it a good fit? How long is it going to take? What's the implementation like? And we cover all of that early on in the process. So we'll go through a full discovery, get to know their business, ask them what goals they have, what challenges they're having, and see what we have that can solve all of the above. And then we'll get them a whole kind of like a bundle.
Sure.
And put it all together, walk them through what the process looks like, how it gets implemented, what going forward it looks like, what account reviews look like. And then that's another really big portion of the conversation is how often do you want us to check on you? Some people are like, just check on me once a year.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Some people are like, actually, can you check on me quarterly?
Yeah, anybody that's asking for once a year, you need it more often than that. Just a heads up. Yeah.
So, and then it's our job to give them the ongoing service along with the technicians to make sure that we're keeping up with them because businesses change rapidly. So making sure that the solution we get them now is one that is going to fit them for the next 5 years. So that is also part of the early on conversation is what does your 5-year plan look like?
Sure. And again, we're catching up with Jason and Jessica of JQ Office Equipment here on the Spotlight Omaha podcast, brought to you by Pixel Fire Marketing inside the Pyramid Contractor Studio. Jessica, for you, when you guys are talking about a lot about door knocking and talking and walking into businesses, but I'm sure there's a lot of times the phone rings and somebody comes looking. What are some of the biggest misconceptions about printers themselves that people think when they buy one, maybe whether it's a service plan that they may or may not have, et cetera, things like that?
Oh yeah, I got this one. So it's really often that people will just go buy one from, Office Max or Amazon or Walmart or wherever.
Because they don't know drivers exist.
Exactly. And then they're having trouble with, well, who fixes it? What happens when I run out of ink? How do I load a driver? What happens when it breaks? And then they're like, well, I'm just going to throw it away and buy a new one. So then they're constantly throwing money down the drain, just replacing that printer, where with the managed print service program, you actually have someone that does all of that for you. So then you don't have to think about any of that. It's just, yep, here's my automatic monthly payment, and they're going to take care of everything from supplies to service. And so one of the biggest misconceptions that I get is, well, I just replaced this one a month ago and I have to buy a new one. Why is that? How is yours going to be different? Well, ours are built to last 5 years, not 2 months.
People are chiming in right now, claiming that they're guilty of everything you just said. So this is a big deal. But you don't know what you don't know, right? And,
Exactly.
And Jason, for JQ, how much of the process is an education standpoint, where it's not only helping maintain the equipment and getting the sale, but staying around afterwards and explaining the process, and that creating a PDF doesn't need to be a cringeworthy conversation.
Sure. It's interesting that, you would assume everybody knows all the stuff we know because that's our perception is our reality.
It's technical jargon, right?
Right.
Yeah.
But the thing is that we pride ourselves on educating the client throughout the whole process and then thereafter. And we do it. It's our norm. We just do it.
Sure. Because you don't know what you don't know.
Right. But it's, if you ask me, how do I breathe? I don't know. I just do it.
Let's do it.
And
Yeah, I just do breathing.
Yeah. What I've learned, we just did a rather large install about 2.5, 3 months ago. And the client came to us and we've never experienced anything like this. And we all looked at each other and we said, like, what? Because that was just how we do things.
Yeah.
So we were legitimately confused. And so we love to help people understand whether it's to do business with us or not.
Yeah.
We want to educate so they can make the best decision for that company.
We've had HVAC clients come in here. We've had lawyers. We've had doctors. And the one thing that I've always noticed is it's really hard for some people, for most people, when you're in the fish tank, right? When you have the magnifying glass on you, to not talk in terms that would not be in layman's terms for somebody that's not in your field.
Right.
When we're talking about technology, it's often a big fear for a lot of people.
Sure.
Is that something that you guys? I'm sure it's probably different for both of you because you both are in different spheres of the industry. But is it difficult? Jason, we'll ask you first. Is it difficult for you to be able to explain in layman term and realize when somebody's not understanding what you're getting to, or is that something you kind of can shift gears and be fine with?
It used to be.
Okay.
When I started out in the industry, I was so excited to just start spitting every word I learned out.
Sure.
And it was so confusing. And a lot of times to me, I just didn't know what I was talking about. And as I developed a different skill, and Jessica can attest, I will start to create analogies that work in your field to understand what I do. So we do this often now. When you walk into a law firm, you say this. You walk into an accounting firm, you say that. You're really saying the same things, but you're getting them to understand
It's in their technological terms. Yeah.
Yep.
Jessica, same question for you. Is that something that you struggle with as well, or have you always been pretty good at it?
I feel like I'm pretty good at it. I love being able to take the time to really help them understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And I feel like as the expert at what I'm talking about, I need to be able to relate it to what they're doing so they understand. Otherwise, I'm not doing my job properly. So being able to learn from Jason of how to do that in each individual industry, I think has been one of the more exciting parts of the job. Because then I know I'm actually teaching somebody something and it's not just going over their head. Because you can tell when it does.
Yeah.
And if I need to slow down and pull out visuals or whatever it is to help them, like I will take the time to do that.
As somebody that was a system administrator for 13 years, and I asked somebody, do you guys use a VPN? And when somebody's eyes go cross-eyed, look at me, I'm like, do you have to click on something to remote into your network? Oh, yes. Okay. Well, let's get Jason, when we talk about taking the management portion out of it, and you guys do document management from a software standpoint, what does that look like and how does that benefit the client?
So there's two different versions of what you just asked. So the first one, I'll go just standard document management. We have a full line of software called Square 9 that can automate workflow processes, that can make you what people like to say paperless. And it's paperless filing and retrieving rather than, a lot of people used to store things in filing cabinets or even just scan it onto a hard drive. But how do you retrieve it later when that person that scanned it leaves?
Yeah, because I don't have a floppy disk spot on my computer.
Right. So complete automated workflow, or what the ECM, or electronic content management, but it's fancy for paperless software.
Yeah.
That part we do a great job for.
Paint a picture for us really quick. What does paperless software look like, just so people can get an idea?
So when the biggest headache in most businesses is accounts payable invoices, whether it's electronic or actually physical paper. So our software you can scan it in, don't have to involve anything from a keystroke. It'll automatically notice that, hey, this is an invoice from Verizon. It indexes it by whatever you decide, meaning it'll allow you to do, like, let's say, company name, Verizon, document number or invoice date, due date amount, and just throws it and archives it away. The next time you want to look up your invoices for all your Verizon bills, you can look them up for just Verizon and see every single one you have.
Thank you for reminding me to pay my phone bill today. By the way.
But it seems simple, but in the background it's complicated.
It's all pretty user friendly.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to ask. Just to kind of piggyback off that, what are some of the benefits that some of the clients at JQ see from using your guys' management software?
I would say more than anything, it's reduce of soft costs. So being able to do something where it automatically takes out all those keystrokes and archives it for you, is a lot less time spent doing it on your own. And then they can use that time to run their business better or get to something else that they've been putting on the back burner. And I think that's always the largest benefit that I hear is thank you for saving me all the time of having to file that
Yeah.
and rename it and figure out where to put it.
Sure.
So I could do something else. I think that's probably one of the best ones.
We're catching up with Jason and Jessica. I just combined your guys' names there. With JQ Office here on the Spotlight Omaha podcast brought to you by Pixel Fire Marketing inside the Pyramid Contractor Studio. Jason, we talk about growth in next 3-5 years for JQ Office. What does that look like?
You know, we talk about this often every week. We're talking about our growth plan, our business plan for the next 3 to 5 years, ironically, that you said that. And as we continue to grow other revenue streams like we talked about, we're adding employees. We're adding benefits. We are looking at potential acquisitions in the forefront. What are we going to do to continue to be around since 1965 to hit 2065?
Sure.
And it's something we're not only constantly talking about, we're working towards. And sometimes it's trying to turn the Titanic 1 month.
Yeah.
And then the next, it's like, holy cow, we did all that in 4 weeks.
Yep.
So it is something that is not only a topic of our discussions every Friday at 9 a.m. But the reality is we are constantly talking about growing rather than sustaining.
Jess, when we talk about growth in the Omaha area, and obviously we're seeing Gretna is exploding. It kind of feels like there's a renaissance down in downtown North Omaha. Elkhorn is finding a way to grow west somehow.
Yeah.
But the city as a whole is growing. What does that mean for day-to-day business at JQ Office?
Well, really, it's just keeping up on it, making sure that we know what's going on in the community, who's growing, who's opening when,
Sure.
and making sure we're getting to them early on in the process so that they have time to figure out if they need us or not. And then really just as a rep, so we all have our own area of town that we focus on. That way we know exactly what's going on in that area at all times, making sure that we're like, hey, this new business is opening. Are they going to need our service? And just kind of keeping track, really.
That's
is the
an
biggest
interesting
thing.
point, though, because I'm not looking for exact numbers here, but ballpark, how much of what JQ is doing on a we'll say week to week, Monday through Friday basis is current customers versus brand new businesses?
I would say it's probably about 75% new
Wow.
that we're always striving for. And then, of course, we have to maintain who we
Right.
have with those
Sure.
account reviews. So making sure it's a healthy balance, but talking growth, we're always looking how to help the next person. So it's a lot more new client focused with maintaining what's already there.
All right, talk me into the building, Jason. I'm a brand new business. I don't have a printer. I don't have software solutions. Why is JQ the best option for me?
So we always start to understand what you're doing first, because sometimes you don't need us.
Sure.
And I'd rather be the company that tells you we're not the right fit today.
Okay.
So when it comes down, we'll start at the basic stuff that we do. Well, let's say you needed a small desktop managed, a multifunction device. If you're not doing more than 1,500 3 reams of paper, 1,500 sheets a month, it's not the right fit, or you're just doing it out of convenience.
Sure.
But I have to think about your money as if it's mine. Jessica has to do the same thing. Each one of our reps are taught to treat your expenses as if it were our own money. So if you're not the right fit, Jimmy, I'm going to tell you up front, I want to sleep at night.
Are most people surprised by that?
Yes.
Did you need a minute to think about it? Jess, why do you think that is?
Because they're always thinking a salesperson is going to come in and try to sell me something.
Yep.
That's, just the nature of the game. So when a salesperson comes in and says, you don't need this, don't buy it from me, let's give you a year to grow and then revisit the conversation, there's always some initial shock because they're like, well, you don't want to sell me something? I'm like, well, I do, but it's not right for you, which means it's not right for me.
Let me preface this with that's the right way to do business, but you guys are also in the business of maintaining and making sure that stuff is working down the road. Right. And that means you have to have conversations with those people again. That's got to be a large part of that too, right? Like it's not only are you guys fixing printers and providing lockers, you're making sure that their business is running. And if it's not, you're the phone call they're making, right?
Right.
Yes.
In many cases, what we do, and it just like you said, just a printer, right? When we were talking or started this.
Yep.
The fact is, many of these things generate revenue
Yeah.
for companies. And whether that's invoicing that's going out, whether that's
Or affect their budget. Yeah.
bids that are going out, and we effectively become a very important cog in their business wheel. And when it breaks, when it goes down, we are the very first phone call. And we have metrics.
Pride yourself on that?
Very much.
Okay.
Yeah, we actually have a software that manages the entire fleet of our devices, not only on the printing side, but the locker side. So we know prematurely when things are going wrong.
Because I think there's two responses there, right? There's the oh crap response, and then there's the firefighter response. First one in when the building's on fire, right?
Right.
Yep.
And our technicians are, we have what's called a net promoter score, if you're familiar with that.
Yep.
So we are in the 90s.
Wow.
And it's...
That's high, by the way, in case anybody's wondering.
I think it's actually last month was 88.9%.
We'll say the 90s.
Yeah. So, but the reality is they treat it like it's their business as well.
Sure.
So it's a culture.
'Cause it is.
Yeah. It's a culture that we've created that we might market 4 hours, but last month we averaged an hour
Hour and
and
a half.
it was an hour and 3 minutes on site. Slow month, which is great.
Yeah.
But either way,
That means you're doing your job,
you're
right?
doing your job. Yeah.
Jess, I hope you don't mind me saying this because you brought this up off air, but you don't tell people you're a salesperson because you don't look at yourself that way. What's your favorite part about what you do?
Helping. I love going in and getting to know somebody and helping. And if I can't help, I will tell them I cannot help you, but maybe I can find you a resource that can. And Jason can attest, I have such a passion for helping people that being able to overlap that with my professional life has made a world of difference for me because I actually get up every day and I am excited to go out and find the next person that I can help.
Jason, same question for you. What's your favorite thing about what you're able to do?
It used, and truthfully, it used to be, I like to win at things.
Okay.
And that was what started the whole thing. I was very competitive. And as I got older, I realized that the competition it changed. It turned into how do I affect all these people that are inside of my business, whether that's Jessica and her family, whether that's Cody and his family, it doesn't matter who it is. The fact is, how do I help them? By helping a client, I help my business.
Agreed.
And my business is not JQ Office. My business are the people that work in there. And I wake up every morning with a completely different mindset that I did when I started, what do I got to do to make sure my entire company runs well so that those families are taken care of?
I'll go from a glass half full to a glass half empty conversation. What's the biggest hurdle facing the industry right now?
On the printing side,
Just in general.
people are printing less than they've ever done before.
Just because everything is less paperless or more paperless?
So hence the reason that we have the other opportunity.
Sure.
But I'd say always the biggest one is how do we get to the decision maker to accept the meeting? That has never changed in 24 years, ever.
In any version of sales, by the way.
No, sir.
Yeah.
Just the same question for you because it might be a different answer. What do you think is the biggest hurdle? Maybe in your position, not necessarily the company itself.
Yeah, I would say it's kind of a mix of Jason's answer with, no, actually, I think it's just the same answer.
Sure. Yeah.
People print less.
When we talk about getting through Fort Knox and getting past that first communication to the person that's the decision maker, what are the common themes in the people that need JQ Office's services? Yeah.
One of my favorites, because it's never changes. No, we're good.
Because they didn't hear anything you just said, by the way. Yeah.
They didn't, because they have a job to do,
Yep.
which I and my team are interrupting them. And sometimes that day was not a good day for that person. So there's a difference between being a pest and professionally persistent.
Yeah.
But traditionally...
It's a very fine line, though.
Yeah.
It is.
Traditionally, most of our clientele, I want my clients to say we're good.
Yeah.
Right? Jessica wants her clients to say they're good. But the reality is, you don't know what you don't know. We've said that a couple of times a day. And sometimes if somebody were to just for education purposes, listen to what we have to say, we can find out if you're really good or not. But it's always a tough part. It
Right.
really is.
Just same question for you. What's the biggest hurdle about what you do at JQ right now?
I think the biggest hurdle is just kind of figuring out the solution sometimes because we have so many that sometimes that initial conversation with the client, we uncovered 10 other things that we didn't expect going in there. And now we have to have a follow-up because the worst thing we can do is just throw a solution at them and it not be the right one. So Jason said something to me when I started that has always stuck with me, that is sometimes we need to slow down in order to speed up. And And so sometimes I have to call that client back and be like, hey, I was researching everything that we talked about. We need to have a secondary meeting because this is a much larger picture than we originally planned.
Right.
And sometimes people aren't willing to make the time to have that second conversation, at which point I have to stall the process because I'm not just going to throw something at them that's not correct.
If we talk about hiring and finding the right fit for JQ, what is the biggest struggle that you have in 2024 looking for somebody to fit the culture, word that you've used twice now, of JQ office?
That is actually I have passed up on people that probably would have done really, really well at JQ that would not have fit in the culture. And that is a tough thing to do as somebody that their job is to drive revenue.
Yeah.
I have passed up on a couple of salespeople that just they could have knocked the cover off the ball in their sleep, but it would have disrupted the culture we have. You've got to do the right thing for, like I said, I got to do the right thing for all the people that are inside of those four walls first, and not just think about the one aspect of it, which is this person can come in and make some money. But the reality is it would harm us more than it would do us good.
As somebody that's worked in IT, I feel comfortable making this statement. There's a lot of times that people that work in IT or can maintain printers don't have the best customer service skills. How difficult is it for, and I want to answer from both of you guys, Jessica, I'll start with you too, look at somebody and say, you're a right fit for JQ from a technical standpoint, but maybe not the best customer service standpoint. Is it hard to differentiate the two?
Some days, but I think what we have at JQ, we have a really good blend of people, and all of our departments overlap with different personalities.
Sure.
So, for example, on the sales team, we have 5 different personalities. So no matter what that client needs, we have someone that can cover them. So maybe we'll team up and I'll be like, hey, Jason, can you come with me? Because this person needs someone that's a little bit more direct than I'm capable of doing. And then that way we know it's the best for them. They're still getting the best service. And it's no different from our technicians or our IT team. We'll have one that's super technical, one that's really good with people. So they partner up. That way you're getting the best of both worlds and still getting whatever you need done.
We're kind of hitting the point where we tend to shut her down for the day. Is there anything about JQ Office we haven't mentioned that people should know about?
No, I mean, truthfully, if one of my employees gives you a call, look into it. You know, realistically, in today's economy, everybody's looking for creative ways to save money.
Yep.
And if we can save you money on your printing without a capital investment, who doesn't want to save money today? I know money's flowing out of everybody's ears, and they have too much to spend.
That's the problem. It's all going out.
Yeah. But the fact is, Jessica's and my team on that side of the table, their entire job is to save your company money.
Who doesn't want that? Yeah.
Is it worth 17 minutes of your time? That's all we always ask for. So, but no, if we can help you save money, we would love to help.
Jess, same question.
I would have to agree with Jason. Just taking the time, even if it's just for educational purposes, 17 minutes doesn't harm anybody's day. It's not going to affect you missing out on this major thing. So, I mean, that's really it. And we're awesome.
Well, then that doesn't hurt. With over 23 5-star Google reviews, JQ Office, you can check them out at 402-339-5003 if you can benefit from anything that Jessica and Jason just said that you actually heard, and I apologize for those first 5 minutes. We did get the most of it, so I appreciate everybody for letting us know about our technical difficulties. Guys, I appreciate you being here today as well. We're going to catch up with Doug from Cross Train tomorrow to learn about their brewery in Papillion, what they have going on over off Portal Road in Papillion at 11 a.m. tomorrow on the Spotlight Omaha podcast. We'll be back in a little bit telling you what's going on around the Omaha area tonight, where you can go for cool date night ideas and where the craft fairs are this weekend as well. Here on the Spotlight Omaha podcast. We'll see you in a little bit.